when you mentioned kind of the process that led you to Indiana, then led you to, end your career prematurely, you
Mhm.
almost spoke of, I don't know if you were thinking this actively, but you gave what I think is the genesis of your project, Rate My College Coaches,
Mhm.
with what you went through and how you want to make sure others who come up after you don't go through the same thing. And we see a lot of that play out now at the high school and college level. You
Right.
spoke of wanting to run your own line of businesses. When did this Rate My College Coaches project manifest itself in your mind?
Right. So it definitely was during college at my time at Indiana. And throughout college, I had heard of a site called Rate My Professors. So that's where the inspiration came from, where you can go on this site and you know what class you want to take, but you kind of want to make sure you get a good professor. Um, I'd be lying if I say I didn't do it. You want to make sure you get a professor that teaches well, is not like a super tough grader. That's some of the things that they rate them on. And so when I was going through my time at Indiana, like I told you, I was very, very frustrated. And that's really where Rate My College started, because not only was I frustrated, but I would talk to old teammates. I would talk to some of my friends that played sports as well. And I was really seeing a common theme amongst those people, where it's just kind of like, you come on your recruiting visit and everything's all fine and dandy, and you see all the bells and whistles and you think it's going to be great, right? Because you're a kid, and then you get there and you're like, what the hell did I just get myself into? That's not everyone's reality, though. That happens to some people, but some people, they go to college and they go to their recruiting visit and they go to college and it was everything that they ever imagined. Other people don't have that. It started at a place of frustration because I was just like, no one's listening to me. And without going into too much detail, I'm just like, I do this, I do that, I say this, I do that. I do things that I think I'm expected to do, and it still doesn't work out the way that I imagined it to work out. And I'm just like, this isn't fair. Well, they tell you, well, life isn't fair. It's like, okay, whatever, I deal with it. But I was very frustrated because no matter what I did, or no matter how hard I tried, it didn't work out. So I was just like, this is kind of bullshit, right? I noticed when you get to the college level, it's more than just being a good player. Now, this isn't at every school, but just I can only speak from my experience. It's more than just being a good player. You deal with some of the politics of sports. You realize how much of a business it actually is. If I wanted to go and play professionally and play in the WNBA after college, I would probably be focused on the school where academics, would be important, but my main focus for the most part would be basketball, being somewhere where I knew the X's and O's. They played exactly how I played. I fit into their system and things like that. Somewhere where I knew I could play, whether that's mid-major or, anywhere, Power 5. But if I was focused on academics, it wouldn't really matter where I went as far as basketball, as long as the academics were high. I would just have to deal with the fact that I probably wouldn't be playing. So it's so many different factors that you kind of have to take into account that as a kid, you don't usually take into account. So Rate My College Coaches is really, even though it started as a place of frustration, it's not for people to go there and just bash a coach, at all. It's really somewhere where people go and give their honest opinion, not opinion, give their honest experience of what they went through, whether that was good or bad. So people like me that never played college sports or never had anyone that played college sports before me could be able to go and get a full real life picture of what it would be like playing at this school and playing for this coach. Because the coach, whether you like it or not, usually kind of makes your experience. Because if you're going to school for a sport, that sport is going to take up 85% of your experience throughout your college career. So that's definitely where it started. I was very frustrated. And then, like I told you, over time, that frustration just turned into kind of like creativity. Like, okay, yeah, I was frustrated, but now I'm a little older now. I realized that it didn't really make that much of a difference. I'm still healthy. I'm still well. I was able to accomplish every other thing that I had set. and things like that. Got a great job out of college, still able to do the things that I do. And I was just like, okay, let's make this creative. Like, and how can we go and help someone that may be just as frustrated as I once was when I was in college, or how to help them avoid that frustration in the first place.
Where do you see it? Because I think it's part of your unfinished business umbrella, and I checked it out. Not only can you rate coaches in schools, but you also have kind of a series of blogs, articles that discuss current events going on in the NCAA. So a lot of COVID-19 discussions right now, but
right.
Where do you see this site growing? What would you like to see this outlet do? Because from what I gathered, you want this to be more than just a place to evaluate coaches in schools.
So if you're thinking big picture, what I really want this to be is not only somewhere you can kind of rate your coach and rate your experience, but also a place of entertainment, which is why I added the blog portion to it with unfinished business. And, 10 years later from now, if things go well, what I expect is that Rate My College Coaches and Unfinished Business can be two standalones, where I'll have Rate My College Coaches and it'll be strictly for people to just go and, rate their coach and things like that. We're going to add pieces over the years as we start to gain more traffic and things like that, that'll kind of make that site great within its own right. And then Unfinished Business, although it stemmed from that, I really want it to be its own separate entity where it's kind of something like the Undefeated, where it's kind of like an entity that's really about entertainment and that really represents kind of like Black culture for the most part. And, when I say Black culture, the things that we go to barbecues for and things like that and talk about the most are sports, fashion, and music. And so I think of, places like the Undefeated. They talk about sports and things like that, but they also have like different podcasts and, video content and things like that. ESPN kind of does it too, where they've kind of branched off and they've done a little bit more than just sports. They'll have articles about certain different things, but it'll really just be like an entertainment entity where we kind of touch on everything. It's going to have a podcast, things like that, where people just go to for like the latest, greatest on sports, what music and stuff are we listening to, fashion, all that good stuff.
And of course, you're still in the shoe business as well and have been for a few years. So what other entities do you see yourself trying out? And you mentioned this earlier, how far along are you in that goal of making a lot of money?
I will say I'm well on my way. Like, I feel like I'm just kind of laying the foundation. I'm not a millionaire.
Not yet.
Yeah, not yet. But my goal really is, I think at first it was making a lot of money, but as I get older and more mature, it's really about building generational wealth. And all of these different things that I'm doing is a part of that. I'm starting these things with hopes of my future kids and their kids' kids can continue to keep this going along. So outside of my businesses, I'm trying to invest. So I'm investing, into real estate people that are kind of like, taking my money and doing great things with it, whatever, to give me some passive income. I plan on getting into real estate myself over the next few years, just kind of laying those pieces. Like I said, I've had 2-1 Future is my shoe business. And it stemmed from my love of shoes, Jordans and Yeezys and things like that. And, now it's really my hobby. Like, I enjoy doing it, but I'm able to put extra money in my pocket each and every year from a hobby just because I have always had a business mind and I enjoy doing it. So just things like that. But I think really what's going to create the generational wealth piece that I want is the real estate. And so I'm really just learning about that. I have my money in places that are good for me, and that's gonna give me money over time throughout the year, things like that. And so just wanting to continue to do that. One of my huge values is entrepreneurship, and I used to sell lemonade at a very young age, like on the corner trying to sell lemonade, things like that. And so if it's one message that I do want to give to not only student athletes, but, you know, people like my nieces and nephews and things like that. Utilize your skill set, because everyone and anyone could be an entrepreneur. Because I personally think that that should be the goal. You know, they tell you this American dream and things like that, you know, go to school, get a good job, live the American dream. It's really no such thing as an American dream, at least for people that look like me, right? So our mentality should be, you know, we have to go out and get it. We may start at as a disadvantage, but we're going to even the playing field. And one way to do that is by entrepreneurship, starting our own things, right? Investing into the types of businesses that, you know, we find maybe most helpful, the types of businesses that we just love doing the most. And so that's something that I tell my little brother, you know, he's into graphic design and like art. And I tell him all the time, like, dude, you're 17. I know 17-year-olds, and this is a true fact, that are making six figures right now because they decided to do what they love and start businesses with it, and they're making money from it. I tell them, you could be a freelancer easily. You have a talent, use that for your own good, so you don't have to go to work every single day and work for someone else. You can work for yourself. And athletes, honestly, like, you know, this is a strong message for them too, because as an athlete, you have that platform, especially you get to the stature of someone like Zion Williamson or something like that, or even if you don't even go to the next level, but you have a huge following in college, start a business, take advantage of that social media following that you have, because unlike most people that are really kind of starting from the ground up, you have a platform unlike any other where you can do those things. And college is the perfect time to do it.